Okay, so this video is kind of like a lot of like important information, just like personal experiences, like what I've gone through in the past like month. And I mean, I haven't made a video in a minute, but like there's just so much freaking moving parts and a lot going on lately. I've been stressed to like my brim kind of thing, and I'm just trying to get through my day to day. It is taxing to live in the United States right now and to have to continuously see what's happening within the trans community because I was told at the beginning of the year, my doctor's just like, they're only going after trans youth. Now we're finding out that they're still trying to like force detransition trans inmates in prisons and like what defines someone to go to prison. Like, I mean, are they just going to change laws that it's like, oh, now like this like FBI stuff that like, hey, if you fly a trans flag, you're some sort of terrorist, and it just like these type of things going on. So like basically where I'm at with like everything. Last month I was sick. I had an adverse reaction to an immunosuppressant. I have ankylosing spondylitis, an autoimmune disorder, and I didn't want to have to nuke my entire immune system because I have a surgery coming up. We're 76 days away. I don't want to be perpetually sick. I'm normally somebody that gets sick, even taking proper precautions, right? So it's a bit much to like have to juggle all this. And then I got sick again immediately after the immunosuppressant. I'm working a job part time right now so I can keep my Social Security income benefits. I live, in a situation where I pay $180 for rent every month. I literally survive off of like 600-ish dollars every month. So last month I got my passport. I applied for my passport. It came within 12 days, so it was less than 2 weeks. I didn't expedite anything. I didn't spend that extra $60 for expediting. I didn't have to do like anything like the OOR versus Trump lawsuit kind of thing to be able to get my passport. And so for me to get my passport, it was just like it was really smooth. But I know other people, excuse me, that freaking had issues with this, that it took a while or they had to send extra paperwork. I know some people that even applied before the government shut down and still didn't receive their passport and could potentially have their documents held indefinitely. We don't even know. Like, we don't know where, like, how long. So this is just, again, another kind of attack on the trans community. This isn't doing anything to protect anybody from anything. This is literally just making our lives harder and stressing us out. Not every trans person has the kind of money to just dish out 85-ish dollars for a passport, right? I literally made the decision because in my head it's just like a gear just keeps clicking and there's like a stick in between two cogs, and I'm just trying to like make my thoughts work, but like just for the sake of like having the ability to just like get my thoughts together, I'm like, I need to be able to get a passport in case I have to flee the country, in case I want to visit some of my friends that live out of state. I don't know how long the surgery is going to be. Like, so like, yeah. So I ended up talking to um, my surgeon, last Tuesday. This was like 5-ish days ago at this point. And they were pretty adamant about getting me in on an earlier OR day before, but now they're saying like, hey, we actually probably won't be able to. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to go work this part-time customer service job. I'm going to hurt myself in ways that people don't understand that I'm hurting myself. Just bending down constantly to fold t-shirts and stuff is very taxing on my back. In my previous job, I was lifting Cambros a chicken and lifting Cambros a chicken and lifting Cambros a chicken. And then I got a bulging disc in my back. And then it ended up being like that I had to do a cortisol injection, something like that. Steroidal. I don't know what it was. They did an injection. And after the injection, they were like, everything went well. They wheeled me out in a wheelchair to go change my clothes again. And then they're just like, something's wrong. I'm like, my stomach doesn't feel right. My blood pressure dropped to 32 beats per minute. The person that did the procedure stuck like the finger cuff on their finger. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm unhealthy. I got to stop eating the McDonald's all the time. And I'm like, I'm not okay. Like, stop messing around. And like, so they had to lift my legs up, and I started passing out, and I thought I was going to die. And it's like, and then I ended up going for more imaging, and it's like, oh, now you have two bulging discs in your lower lumbar. So I deal with like severe pain with this every day. I deal with like a lot more than I look like I deal with. I look like someone that's youthful. That's the magic of hormones. that like, but like I'm getting around like a 70-year-old is how I kind of feel right now. So my options are to take this immunosuppressant that is causing adverse reactions. My other choices with the immunosuppressant is to take something that doesn't stay in my system for 1 week, like the thing that I took before, but 2 weeks. I could try something else that lasts an entire month in my system. I could take something that stays in my system for 6 to 8 weeks. Those are my options. Or I could just not take it and just wait until the day that I have such a bad injury that they have to bind my neck and back, kind of thing. So I'm in that boat now. I was waiting until after my facial feminization surgery, my transgender surgery for my upper FFS, just for my own personal safety, for my own mental health, but for my own personal safety more than anything. Since the beginning of this year, since February of this year, I have been saying I need this surgery to be able to just get by, just to be safe, kind of thing. And this year has continuously devolved in the humanity of everyone else around me. And if a trans person has never done anything to you directly, if you don't even know a trans person, or if you are unaware that trans people are among you and like living their lives kind of thing, then don't go after trans people. It's as simple as that. Be defensive on our sides because our rights are first, then they're coming for your rights. They're seeing what all they can take away from the American people, and we are the guinea pigs. But somehow, some way, that's like funny to talk about. So I made the mistake of joining a local chat board recently, a local community chat board. I talked about, the importance of like that. I pretty much just what I said, that like we're the guinea pigs, blah, blah, blah. Like we are the first line of defense and you don't even know what we've been through this year. And then I got met with so many replies of like, out of women's sports. It's like there's like, okay, let me give you this statistic. There's like 550,000 athletes, and there's like what, like 20 trans people, something like that. I don't know, maybe four. Even if there's 40, wouldn't you want your daughters to be better at sports? Wouldn't you want them to have a challenge, or do you want to give them like a participation trophy for winning? Oh, participate. Like, I'm just like coming from that mentality. Wouldn't you want your like daughters to be really good at sports by beating the ultimate all-star trans athlete kind of thing? I don't know. Where are we at with all this? Like, it's just kind of funny that this is like the main talking point and so many people are fixated on that to go further into trying to revoke our rights kind of thing. To force detransition trans inmates in prisons is absolutely terrifying to me because like I'm not committing crimes. I'm not somebody that's out here committing crimes. But at the same time, I don't know with how everything is shaping up that could it get worse kind of thing. Earlier this year, and I sound like a tinfoil hat person by saying the government's trying to take transgender people's guns away. But that was actually a real discussion that was had. And the NRA had to come forward and say, the next day, saying any law-abiding citizen is able to keep their firearms kind of thing. Now, I don't personally have one, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to defend myself in the case of something like this. But anyway, back to what I was saying, that I joined this local group, and it's just so depressing to see what these people have to say because there aren't trans people in this area. There aren't many trans people. And I know I see a few, I can recognize a few in public, and like I know of a couple. Most of the girls that I knew moved out of the area. But like, it's just that I left this comment, right? And some guy shared it, some older guy shared it and said, if I ever saw a biological male using the women's room whenever one of my female people that I care about, I'm butchering it, but like if they're in the bathroom and a biological male comes in, I'm going in after them. God help whoever tries to stop me kind of thing. It's like, man, that guy really wants to use the women's room is how I feel. It's a bathroom. People are just going to the bathroom. Unanimously, people are more comfortable with trans people in the bathroom than you would think. I mean, I've had the conversation with how many girls are like, yeah, no, I totally wouldn't care if you were in there. Maybe it's just that, like, my personality, maybe it's just me. I know there's many variants of trans people. I know there's a little bit of a conversation that's been stirring that, like, hey, if you're not passing enough, don't, like, jump into the girls' room kind of thing. I totally get that point, too. It took me years to go into the girls' room. It took me how many, like, years before, like, and I switch between bathrooms, by the way. I go based off of if I hear somebody in one of the bathrooms, I try to avoid people as much as possible because I do not want confrontation. I'm just trying to like be able to get around my day without like pissing my pants kind of thing. Does that make sense? Um like does that register with people? I'm a human being and I'm terrified to go in a bathroom that somebody's going to say something or do something, but like that's what I have to do in like the general world kind of thing. So there's there's this really big stigma of like what's going on with like all that like situation, right? So like not only that, there was another comment of this woman that said if I ever saw a T slur in the bathroom with me, they would have to answer in my 38. And I'm posting anonymously in this thing, but at the same time, it's like, wow, this is like something that somebody is really actually saying about me, kind of thing. So a couple days ago, I went to the mall and I didn't wear a bra. And I'm just like, you know what? If people are going to be like this, let's just see how they really act. Let's do a little bit of a social experiment. Let's see what the difference is between people on the internet compared to the people in real life in this area that seems so unaccepting online. In fact, they are very unaccepting online. It was like unanimously like people against trans people make insane asylums great again and whatever, like, oh no, you're whatever, and calling, name calling when to be able to communicate. You know the group, people that can't even go through a full sentence without just belittling you and resorting to like eighth grader belittlement words kind of stuff. I don't want to say all of them, kind of, it's just kind of disgusting and gross and like really makes guys look attractive when they do that. And so I went to the mall. I went without a bra and I walked around and I just wanted to see how it goes. Cause like normally I'll mall walk, but like normally I have a jacket on. Normally I'm pretty reserved. I do wear a little bit of edgier kind of clothing. What you may see at like the alt stores at the mall kind of thing or something like along those lines. But I also have like stuff of pictures of me on the shirt and like my full girl out attire kind of thing while I'm more androgynous presenting kind of thing. And so I walked around and like I just wanted to see what would happen. And people did treat me differently that day. And it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting. But literally I arrived and like within like 2-3 minutes there was an old guy that just walked up to me and they're like, "Oh, good morning." And then I walked a little bit around. I walked a little bit further. It was like 4 or 5 minutes later, another guy was just, "Good morning." Never happened to me before. I mall walk constantly. Then I went through a department store, right? Once they opened the gates and I went through and they're like, there's literally all female workers there kind of thing. So I'm walking through and I've walked through how many times before and they're just like, "Oh, good morning. How are you today?" And then like I go a little bit further. "Good morning. Let me know if you need anything." And like I'm just like, what is happening? And then I walk a little bit further and another girl's just like, "Oh, good morning." And like they're so sweet and nice about their like how they're saying like good morning to me. So I'm just like, I know that like sale representatives are trying to sell you something, but at the same time they're not even trying to sell me something. They're just saying like good morning, right? So it was really weird that I'm just like, wow, this is like, is this like the cheat code? I just don't have to wear a bra and like suddenly 500% I'm treated 500% nicer by everybody, or like what just happened? So then literally the next day I had a dentist appointment. I have a toothache. Owie. I'm hoping it's nothing too serious. I hope I bruised my tooth rather than having an infection. Who knows? I don't want to lose another freaking tooth, right? But anyway, I went back to the mall. I wasn't wearing any sort of like crazy getup, right? And I there's a woman that walks with this like mentally challenged guy. I don't know if it's her husband. I don't know if it's like somebody she's related to or like what the situation is with that. But she walks him like most days at the mall as well. And I go to the bathrooms that are very secluded from people, just far away that like usually people aren't using them in the morning and I can just like I know I feel safe there, right? So like I go down the hallway and this woman's just standing against the wall and I start walking and she's just like, "Hey, just so you know, we can't get in the women's room right now. I think it's closed down." And I was just like so off put by it or like it didn't register with me because I don't live in an accepting area, right? Or it doesn't feel like I do. But like there's a clear night and day between internet people and people in real life. Internet people are all but then like whenever it comes to like trans people in real life, they're holding the teacup and shaking. Like they're not going to be like that kind of thing. But I did start this part-time job recently, and this year feels totally different than last year. And I'm realizing when I'm trying to talk to like the people that I work with, right? My coworkers, there's somebody new. Some of the people were there last year. It's like one of the more accepting places for me to work, kind of thing. I feel safe there to a degree. The worst I had last year was somebody came in and I greeted them, and they were like, "Oh, I wish there were like normal people around here." And that was it. And I told my manager later, and they were like, "Oh, I would have kicked them out instantly." And I'm like, "Listen, it didn't bother me that much. It kind of bothers me, but it's like whatever. I don't really care." Um, but I got complimented more often than not working there. So I'm just like, you know what? I like the people that come through. It's nice to see that like there's some um chivalry is that the right word? Like humanity within some of these people rather than just feeling like such an outcast whenever I'm like, because I just don't know with a lot of people, right? So I started yesterday again, and my one coworker asked me like, "Oh, how have you been doing?" And I'm just like, "Oh, well, I just applied for my passport last month, and I like starved myself for 2 weeks, and now there's like a ruling that like the passports are wrong, and there's a possibility of revocation of these passports. They're not implementing that currently, but they could down the line." And given like how my documents all match each other, like I should be fine, but like there's still a very real chance that they could try to revoke my passport. And by talking about this publicly, I realized I could be jeopardizing myself a little bit with this because like I could totally go under the radar. There was no issues with this. I didn't have to submit the OOR versus Trump. I wasn't held up in the process. It was a super clean under 2 weeks. Send in my birth certificate, get the passport kind of thing. It cost me around 30% of my income because by the time I pay my rent, by the time I pay for my phone, then like, and I mean, I have car issues nonstop. I have to put money into that. I've already been eating like a poor person, the rice and beans and all that. You know, I don't need to watch the news to realize, oh, rice and beans, that's a good choice, right? Um, but I make do. I make do as much as I can. I'm usually hungry by like the 19th of the month kind of thing, even with like food assistance in my current situation. I wish I could function better, but they haven't come up with a cure that makes ankylosing spondylitis like work for me. So it's not that I want to avoid work. I like working. It's not that I'm being lazy. I am very active and I have to move around. Otherwise, my body gets stiff like an old person. I feel like a 70-year-old, but I look like a teeny, it's just like I don't look that old. So it's just like I come from a complicated place because people, I feel like, expect more from me than what I'm able to offer. So, so I'm telling my coworker this, and they're just like, "Oh, I had no idea." And I've had this realization before, but it hit me even more than that. It's just like people really just don't know what we're going through and like how much extra stress and extra layers of everything and like the threat of like, oh, now gay marriage is going to possibly disappear. And like, what does that mean for somebody like me? There's only two genders, but like all my stuff's updated. Am I fine? Or like, how does this all work? Or how are we going to try to make it work? Why do sad old men have to force unpopular politics on a group of people that aren't doing anything wrong? Why are we being labeled terrorists while we are being terrorized? Why, and I wish I could just talk to my coworkers and be like, you know what? Yeah, no, I'm fine. And I wish I could just say that and just move on with my day and not have to get into this stuff. It is exhausting to have to talk to cis people anymore. It's to the point that it's like, it's not even worth it. I only really like to interact with like people within my community, and there really isn't much of my community around here. So it's like I go to online. When I go online, it's like I have to see the constant like crazy, the harassment type people, right? Does that make sense? It's gotten to the point that like even the most sane of us have like definitely had a bit of I mean, I see it with literally every girl that I talk to, that unless they are very misinformed, or not misinformed, unless they just do not stay in the loop whatsoever, they really have been affected by everything. And it's unfortunate that we have to continue to be affected like this. I understand the other side of the argument. I understand people not understanding trans people and thinking that, like, oh, there's men in women's spaces. That's literally not how it works. That's literally not how it works. I've been on hormones for nearly 13 years. I have twice the amount of estrogen as a normal cis woman. There's a reason why people call me a woman in public. And that's with like little or no effort sometimes, but other times. And it's just, it all depends. And it all depends on the day. It all depends on how you dress and how you present yourself. And sometimes I can't tell how other people perceive me. So I just default to the guy voice. I default to like, let's just get through whatever. And that sometimes even catches people off guard. I'm like, oh, I thought I was like really male presenting today. But like, so this is like the importance of me wanting to get this facial feminization surgery. I've been actively pushing to get this done for like, I wanted it for like 8.5 some years now, since I had changes when I stopped hormones, and just like this upper brow area and like the prominence of it, and just like how my chin kind of got a little bit more. But like, I kind of don't know what I want to do with the lower, whatever, the tracheal shave. I would love to get the tracheal shave, because I hear how many people saying, oh, but I can see the Adam's apple a mile away. Females have Adam's apples too. I'm sorry that guys don't understand this. Oh, well, enjoy your mammogram then. Okay, guys need mammograms too. They die from breast cancer all the time. This is like, I'm educating you right now. Like, this is something that is like a real kind of issue, right? So it's like, I wish I could just talk to my coworkers and be like, listen, yeah, no, everything's fine. I talked to my boss today or yesterday, and they were just like, they're like, listen, I'm so sorry that the world's like this. I know you're a good person. I know you don't deserve this type of like headspace. And I'm like, thank you. I mean, like, that's where I'm at with it. And it's consuming. It is absolutely consuming. And I wish I could just function a little more. So, like, to think like that I spent around 30% of my income last month to lose this passport in the future, have it revoked. There's no talk of like reimbursement. There's no talk of like replacement. It is a fresh new passport. Not even, you know, it's not even, it hasn't even been a month since I submitted for it, kind of thing. And I find out, oh, hey, you might lose your passport. It's literally every step of the way that I do anything. Anytime that I go outside of like my bubble of like doing nothing to like try to do something, I find out, oh, wow, this is actually going to hurt me if I do this. Like, I find out in the midst of having an allergic reaction to an immunosuppressant, so I can try to function and recover and get this like fluid of unknown origin in my lower lumbar that I've known has been there since January, but I've been told since February that my facial feminization surgery is 2 to 3 months away. And now I have to worry about some executive order potentially being like, or maybe not executive order, but like the president saying like, we're going to defund your hospital if you continue to do these transgender cosmetic procedures, something along those lines, and then just totally losing my surgery, no matter like, or just some sort of policy change within my insurance and losing my ability to get this for my own safety. I literally spent my time at the job like thinking like, wow, like, yeah, this is, it's nice, it's grounding, it like, that's how I thought like going back to the working there would be. But at the same time, after getting there and after just like still thinking about like everything that I'm going through, I'm like, this is totally a different year for me. My headspace isn't good like compared to where it was the prior year. What I'm like focused on, I don't even know how well I can focus on like my work kind of thing. It's not even like anything too evasive kind of thing. It's just something, you know, and it's just like, if my therapist would have got me in sooner for my referral, but like they said, I should never get this surgery. I'm not mentally fit for the surgery, and nobody should pass me on like the mental clearance side of whatever, the letter, whatever. Because I was arguing with them like, oh, a cis person allows me to get this surgery. Oh, that's great. I didn't know it was as serious as it was. They said the prior appointment, they're like, oh, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you can. And then also, I go online and I see people celebrating a trans person's death. It wasn't a death at the time, it was somebody that went missing. And it was absolutely disturbing to have to see somebody that disappeared to have such a online reaction of people just being like, "You mean he? Oh, good. I'm glad one more's down." Like stuff like that. It's really just weighed on me, and it's just like I didn't know how to really process it. So going back to talking to these people in this local chat board thing, it's just like the woman that brings up this 38 comment kind of thing. I already see the headlines now, right? I just go to use a restroom. I literally go to use a restroom, and somebody just, because they're so misinformed, because they have been unbelievably misinformed by the intentions of trans people. Like if you look at like the track record of the mass shootings that people blame us for, and like the weird child stuff, and like if you look into that, you would see that we have like little to no interest in any of that. We're not violent people kind of thing. We're not doing anything new. Again, I go back to, if a trans person has never done to you anything directly, then you shouldn't be against us because you just don't understand us. I don't understand the redneck life. I don't understand sitting around a campfire and drinking beers every night and listening to country music, like sad country music, and then going into my day the next day and then doing it again. I don't understand it. I don't understand living vegan. I don't understand how it's possible to just like prepare meals, and like it's great. I love my vegetables, but like I don't think I could do it completely. I'm not telling these people that they need rounded up and put in concentration camps because they put vegetables into their body and only vegetables, right? Does that make sense? So it goes back to this story that like I can see it in the headlines, and then this woman attacked this trans person or this biological man, or however the wording. I can see the different news outlets wording it differently, and I can just see on Facebook that like more laugh reacts than mad hearts, likes, care reacts. Like I see more people laughing and being like, well, another one down. Does that make sense? Like I can see my entirety of my battles and struggles and existence, me being number 4 in the world on Xbox 360. It never panned out. I wish I could have did the Twitch stuff. I wish I could have made the $10,000 every day by people donating to me. I wish I could have had like done the achievements and being like, okay, now I'm gonna 100% this game in like 14 hours and just stream the whole thing in one sitting, and do that whenever I was like fat and lazy, essentially. It didn't pan out like that. My timeline didn't work like that. There's always been something with what I tried to do and just like my timeline not quite working out. But at the same time, it's just like I still feel like I should have more for what I've done. I haven't been a horrible person. I feel like since transitioning, I've become such a better person in a lot of ways. And it's just like, I just wish the world could see it. I wish that the world could stop demonizing me. This isn't popular politics, by the way, because if you look in Virginia, the recent voting on November 4th, the Republican candidate ran 57% of their ads as anti-trans ads, and they ended up losing. This isn't popular politics, and in fact, people start to look at you in like a way of like, maybe we shouldn't like put somebody in charge that's trying to take away human rights kind of thing. And that's where we're at as a country, and I think that's great. And I think it's the right move. I don't like getting political. It's not attractive on me. I've said it a million times. I would much rather be able to just live in my own way, not have to worry about like, oh, hey, in a couple days, we're going to make sure that your medication coverage is going to be completely barred. Or, oh, hey, in like 2 weeks from now, you find out that your doctors are going to be put on trial because they prescribe transitional hormones kind of thing. This has changed my life for the better, even with everything that I go through. If I would have been me, if I would have been my previous self, like if I showed you the picture of myself, you can see my eyes are sunken in. You can see just like my distaste for life. I look at my 10th grade yearbook photo where the photographer took the picture of me and said, like, okay, smile. And I'm just like, I don't want to smile. I don't even want to live like this. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't know what I mean by that, but I just don't want to live like this. And I don't feel right. And I told her like exactly that. And this was before I knew anything about transitioning. This was before that I knew like, hey, this is the right path for me. For me. For me. I don't push it on other people. I'm not forcing it on anyone's lifestyle. The only people forcing any lifestyle on anybody is this like weird like, hey, you can't be who you want to be. I was told you're an American. You're allowed to be anything you want to be. You could be the president. You could be an astronaut. I chose something simple and they're trying to take it away from me. I think it's very sickening and unfair to the entire trans community to have to continue to live like this. I think it's disturbing that so many sad old men have to weigh in their opinions considering us freakish whenever like if you knew anything about trans people, like if you thought like we're like some sort of sexual deviance or something. I went years and years and years and years and years with like no sex drive whatsoever. This is just how it is. You clear your headspace up. You have the ability to process other things. Again, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I have seen how many piggish guys send me the images. Like I deal with the same things the cis women do. I get the same type of messages, right? I get the husbands that want to cheat on their wives kind of thing. It's disgusting. It's not my thing. I don't want to like be a part of it, right? Like people like so like I don't want to keep like rambling and I don't want to keep going on with this stuff. I think I covered most of this stuff. Again, we'll go back to Nancy Mace for a second. Nancy Mace with her recent like TSA incident kind of thing, and she just continuously day after day posting videos of like, and I did nothing wrong, and here I'm gonna prove it, and here's a little video, here's 20 seconds that I clipped out of this video, allegedly. I mean, who knows? Maybe she didn't do anything wrong, but she's suing this airport for defamation, civil rights violations, and reputational harm. But since the Kirk incident, since like before they had any details whatsoever, the agenda was clear. They were trying to erase trans people and create the narrative of this. And I think the kid turning himself in made it that it's like not the way that they can even go about doing it. And they're just still trying to pick and piece this away in ways that they can now, but like it's still so unpopular. But at the same point, without any information on the murder kind of thing, without any sort of knowledge of like what happened, before there were any details of the case even out, it was still in a speculatory phase for like what 2 more days after that of like who did what or something like that. And I think defamation, civil rights violations, and reputational harm are something that she did to the entire trans community. I think because of her wording, calling us T-slurs or the killer's a T-slur or a T-slur enthusiast, and that we all need institutionalized, not even far after that, even after the details of everything came out, that all trans people need rounded up and institutionalized. When their default Facebook message, when you type in trans or transgender, says, the Nancy Mace receives most of her death threats from the T-slur or those who support transgender ideology. Makes no mistake, transgender ideology and trans people are mentally ill. Transgender ideology is terrorism. Like, we're continuously labeled as terrorists. We're being forced, they're trying to push that we are forced detransitioned in prisons. We live in an absolutely terrifying time, and I realized after like getting off work yesterday, I'm just like, I don't know how I can do this year. Nobody knows what I'm going through. And I feel like I'm so bottled up with like everything going on. I feel just like not okay. I just feel like not okay. And I know I shouldn't have to feel like that. I wanted to get to another point that there were 3 guys that came into the store, like teenagers, and they walked by me, and I swear that they called me a T-slur kind of thing. I swear that but I'm not like 100% sure, and I don't know if I was just like in my head and I heard that, but they were being belligerent throughout the store, and when they walked by, I swear that one kid was like, ha 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 ha, and then they said it, and then they walk by and they ha 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 ha, and it's like, and I just wish I could have had my surgery by now, for my own safety, for my own sanity, so I don't have to deal with this type of stuff as often. Um, who are you people? What have you done that's been impressive? Or that's like, I mean, the takeaway. I like, what do you like? What do you want from? What do you want from me? It's exhausting. It's just exhausting to have to live like this. It is extremely taxing. It's weightful on the people that I care about and the people that I want to converse with and in my day-to-day life, and I just can't even like begin to like explain like the entire situation, just because I know that potentially some things could snowball and turn into this. Or like I see the ice videos, I see how absolutely disturbing that is. And then at what point do we label trans people? Do we get rid of like birthright citizenship, start rounding them up, kind of thing? Are we just going to be forced to transition in a male prison? I've had a friend of a friend take their lives because of this. It's just like, it's I, I'm at the point where after I get my face done, after I get this face surgery done, I feel like we need to start doing like a class action lawsuit against the government, or I need to set up a small GoFundMe of $1 million so I can go around and help my community, some of these people that are actually seriously in need, to be able to thrive, kind of thing, because they're not only like usually like not in the best financial situation, but some of these people are terrified. Some of these people are homebound. They're afraid to leave the house, kind of thing. They're the fear is getting very real whenever like these threats are out there. When this is like like this is continuously day in, day out, this is the propaganda that's being fed to people, that trans people are just somehow inherently lesser than everyone else. And I think it's very much the opposite. I think we've gone through much, much more. I think we are much more than everyone else. And you're scared that there's a group of people that are better than you. Be it through their own trials and tribulations. I understand that there's people labor working. I understand that there's people doing this or that or the other thing. I understand what the point that people come from, that, oh, you're just playing chameleon, or you're just really good at blending in, or whatever. I understand everybody's side of things, but what I don't understand is threatening the lives of people that you have never met in public. And if you have met them, you probably don't even know that you met them. So like that's one of the like wild things about this entire thing. I seriously think anybody that's been on hormones for like 5+ years should have like severe protections into like the legality of things, because otherwise it's like, what are we doing? How can you just take 13 years of my life away from me? How can you like make sure to attack women in this sense, right? It's not that, I'm not your normal woman, right? I'm something new, something different. And if not different, not even new and different, I just, as far as a general overall societal understanding of this group of people, trans people have always been around. Trans people have been around throughout history. There have been people that haven't like medically transitioned, but we were at the point of people medically transitioning. And by medically transitioning and forcing people to detransition, you are absolutely going to make these people mentally ill. The very thing that you claim that we are. You are going to make people suffer and struggle in ways that they cannot handle. This has been done historically before, that trans people are given hormones of their gender birth, kind of thing, that to see like, oh, does this fix them, does this make them whatever, and it usually ends in them taking their own lives. Study has gone on again and again, and like we already know these things. So whenever people like say, hey, this could be an option, it's not an option. Stop it. I think there needs to be like, there, first off, I don't think trans people needed to be front and center in the world right now. I don't think we needed to politicize our existence. That was never anything anybody really ran on, that like was a big popular or anything whenever people got in this year, right? But at the same time, this just became this like bubble, and people thought like, hey, this is what I need to run on now because like people are just so against these. But it's unpopular politics. It is a losing battle for every politician. um and for the emotional damage, the stress, and the trauma, I don't think $1 million is anything. I don't think $1 million for every trans person that's been on hormones for 5 years would be anything. And I think that would be suitable because everybody within the community that has, would receive a payment like that, right? Would then go out and help other people that they know are needy. We're not the type of people that are just going to hoard the money, right? I think that, within the community, we're going to do everything within the community to make sure everyone in the community is safe and healthy and happy and okay again, and reverse the psychological damage of like what's happened before. I'm not saying it's going to happen. In fact, I think it would be, you know, unrealistic for it to ever happen, but I think it would be the fair thing to do when we live in like a world like this. Um Also, yeah, I mean it's not gonna happen, but if it did, what difference does it make anyway? Are we on the verge of like a economical collapse? We're kind of in this tech bubble. It's not a bubble, but it's like a bubble. It's bubble shaped. If not bubble, why bubble shaped? So like we're kind of in this situation that like I don't know. I just feel like sometimes that I have a tinfoil hat on and I'm talking like an insane person. But I think I'm more linear than an insane person. I think my lack of any substances this year to make sure that I'm, prepared for surgery and kind of everything like that, and staying focused and linear on like the subjects and topics that I've been reading. But like, I don't know. I feel like to some extent I do bounce around a little bit. I do kind of lose my thoughts sometimes, but I feel overall for the most part I'm more linear than a lot of people anymore. And it's just hard to see so many people in my community struggling, and it's just not right. It's just not right to like be worried that hey, someday your doctors are going to be prosecuted, or hey, someday you're going to lose access entirely to medication that it's easy to produce, cheap to produce, and life saving for you. And just because you don't understand that, and just because you think that we're some sort of, again, like sexual deviance type or whatnot, some of us maybe, majority wise, no. Most of us are just like hanging out and doing normal people stuff. Um, it's just unfortunate that people don't want people to be happy in their own skin. That's how it feels to me. Um, I feel bad for all the trans girls that haven't got their passport yet. I feel bad for all the well, not trans girls, I mean just trans people in general. I feel bad for anybody that could potentially lose their passport, especially if they're living in a situation where they're not financially capable of like handling that type of payment and then like losing that. It's surreal. It's surreal that like every step that I take, I feel like I'm moving one step forward and I'm just rugs being pulled and like I'm going 4 steps back. It's not even like, oh, 1 step forward, 2 step. It's like I have car repairs. I have certain nutritional needs. The price of literally everything is going up. In my state, we have the highest grocery price increase since July. It's like 8% something in Pennsylvania. So it's kind of like, wow, this is this is exhausting. So, I mean, I'm putting this like kind of sensitive information out there just to show you what somebody like me has to go through. And all I'm doing is exercising, moving my body, trying to eat right, and make sure that my mental sanity and clarity are at the best that they can be. I would be doing yoga every freaking day. If I weren't injured, I would be in the gym every day. People loved me at the gym. There was nobody that was giving me problems, and it got to the point like that I was using the guys' room when I went to the gym last year, and multiple guys would just be like, "You're in the wrong room." So, what do you want from me? what do you want from us? Because nobody's going to be building this third separate room. Nobody's going to be building these third separate trans prisons to, so it's like you're putting us in danger. We're not we're not what you think we are. By and large is how I feel. And I wish people understood like what the trans community was about a little more. I've never been to these parades. I've never gone to these parades and seen like how people act in these parades or whatever. If that's your takeaway, if what you know of a trans person is the most clickbaity video of somebody that's at a parade and they're like acting a certain way because they're at like a celebratory place and they may not have even started transitioning medically or like whatever. If that's your takeaway and that's like your idea, if you're thinking that like people are giving trans kids hormones, they take puberty blockers until they're 18 to make that decision for themselves if they want to or not. That's like the farthest in depth something like that goes. Um but like, don't take it out on me. Stop like making my life harder. Um I just I try to eat rice and beans and balanced meals and go about my day with some sort of cognitive understanding. And I feel like overall people love my presence. And I'm not just saying that to be like, hey, like, no, I'm a good person, whatever. I feel like overall people are overwhelmingly happy to experience being around me and interacting with me. And it's just a shame that I have to live so much in my head now that I can't even fully be myself. And I have to be worried that one day after work, somebody's going to, do something to me. Um, and it's not like I'm making anything anyway. I'm on Social Security income. I get paid half as much as what I get for working. So it's $11 an hour. Great. I get $5.50 an hour to hurt myself for cis people to like mess up stuff in the store and to like do that and ring people up. Like, that's where I'm at. Customer service job. I have to potentially end up getting sick before my surgery. 76 days away. We're getting there, but it doesn't feel like it's going to happen for me still. And this has been one of the hardest facial feminization surgeries in the history of facial feminization surgery, I feel like, because I have gone through so much to just be able to get to the point that I was scheduled for surgery, let alone like you know what I mean? And I'm not like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what else to really say. I just hope things start moving in a better direction. In the next year, I'm fearful that things are just going to continue to deteriorate and get worse for the my community. And like, I do as much as I can to put out a positive message to people that are in the similar boat as me kind of thing, because I know exactly firsthand how difficult and how painful it can be and how people misgendering you purposely and without you being able to really retaliate kind of thing. I get it. You just go on about your day. Like, you just look at that person, you're like, I bet you get all the women, dude. And or just, just move on kind of thing. Um and yeah, it's hard for somebody like me because nobody even really wants a serious relationship with like a trans person. So I've been fighting to figure out how I can even like find a partner. That's where I'm at with my life. I like for so long I've loved myself, but I know my limitations with like my own body, right? And I know that like I don't get down about it. I'm not like, oh, I'll never get better. Oh, I'm disabled and whatever. I don't even like to use the term that I'm disabled because I'm hopeful that in the future, these case studies that they're doing on isolating the sixth chromosome, where I'm having this issue of the ankylosing spondylitis, the autoimmune stuff, which the sixth chromosome also determines a person's body smell kind of thing. It's kind of like a little interesting tidbit for you right there. That like I'm hoping in the future that they can come up with something that will isolate this. I don't have to nuke my entire immune system, and I'll be able to function. I'll be able to get rid of this fluid in my spine, before it becomes something too severe. It's horrible to have to sit around and read these like horrible articles about people and like what can I do, you know? Um that's about it for today. I mean, that's a pretty long one, but I think I've spoke my point with everything. Be nice to your fellow trans people. We're going through a lot.